Hey guys! I'm back with another flip through. This is going to be of the Field Notes modified art journals that I like to create. So for those who have never seen one of these flip throughs before, I use these little Field Notes notebooks and I put to-do lists, notes, whatever I need in there. And then when I'm finished, I'll paste over them and turn them into little art journals with, painting over them or whatever I can use to cover up what I wrote down underneath. So this is the third in this series that I started in 2019, and I finished this one just at the beginning of 2020. You can see they're quite chunky. So I'll do a flip through of this one, show you guys some of my favorite pages and some of the thoughts behind some of them, all that kind of good stuff. So lots of pencil on top of whatever background I've got on there. I've really been loving pencil lately, so it's also really interesting because I normally go quite big, and having to go quite small makes you focus more on like form and shape and just like really like you can't get into the details because it's so much smaller than I'm normally used to, and it's quite fun to kind of play around with that. So I have enough fight in me to giggle in the face of bombs. If only mother could see me now. A silver grenade pin between my soft pink gums. And if any of you guys watched my last flip through of the Oceans art journal, this was the quote that was on the front cover. This is where I typed it up originally on my typewriter and then scanned it in and turned it into a sticker to paste onto the front cover there. But this is where it ended up in here. And the author of that is, I believe, Anosh Irani, and it was from a series of short stories. There's a couple more quotes in there from that same book, and I'll post the link to his name and all that down below. So this is pencil, some acrylic, some ink, and some Posca pens as well. This is about how, and it's so weird because my birthday's coming up pretty soon, and I think every year I'm not going to make it through. Like, if you'd asked me back when I was like 16, 17, can you imagine getting to 30? I'd be like, absolutely not. Like, I'm going to be dead by the time I'm 22. And like I somehow made it and I never thought I would get this far. Like I truly as a kid did not think that far ahead. I really truly did not believe I'd ever get to be this old. So this is actually the first page I did in this little art journal. I just had that chameleon. I'm like, I need to find something to do with him. He's fantastic. And cut out some pictures of arms because that's, what you do. So quite fun. And then he started crying, long, racking, shoulder-heaving, bereft sobs, face buried in his hands, which really bummed the party out. So that was from the same book of short stories, but from a different author. And I unfortunately forgot his name, but I'll put it in the subtitles below when I'm editing. But I love that. It's so like dark and deep at the beginning. And then, we all have that one person who thinks that way. Sometimes it's me. I really love the colors between these two, kind of like black and white with like a very neon color. I just love that. Grief never lifts completely, but it does peel up at the corners and allows you to crawl out from under its weight every now and again. That was from, I think, a book on automotive components of Mazda cars or something insane like that. Something totally bizarre that you would normally find in like a doctor's waiting room. And then like every once in a while you go through and there's some really deep and beautiful and meaningful article in there with some absolutely lovely thoughts that just completely takes you off guard. And this was one of them. I was like, what is this like really lovely article about grief doing in like a car magazine? It's really bizarre, but love it. And this, I've done this a couple times, so you may have seen this sort of vibe before, but it's this book of patterned graph paper and stuff like that, and I love coloring them in. It's so like meditative to do like colors like this. This is all pencil crayon or color pencil, whatever you want to call it, on this sort of background, which I love using and I've used several times before. It's just so like, I just love rainbows. This page was watercolor, and this was the first time I was just testing out some new Daniel Smith watercolors I got, specifically the indigo color, and I did this little drawing, and I was like, oh wow, like at this point I'd only used Winsor & Newton Cotman edition watercolors, and after trying the Daniel Smith I was like, is this what like professional watercolor is like? This is spectacular. This is amazing. Like the pigmentation, it's just so nice. And so this is what sold me completely, was that one like tube of indigo Daniel Smith watercolor. I was like, this is really nice. So yeah, I had a lot of fun with this one. And then the tweet I photoshopped myself. So NASA did not actually ever say that. This is a collage of different magazine clippings of the sky and water. I have a tendency to like go through magazines and then cut out anything that's even remotely interesting. And I have this gigantic binder of just stuff that's segregated into different categories, like the sky, water, sunsets, people's faces, like hands, different colors, stuff like that. So I try to use them up as much as I can, especially because it's starting to get so full that I can barely contain it anymore. So this is, and I don't know if it would be considered blackout poetry. So blackout poetry is when you cut or like color in certain parts of a page to get like a poem or whatever in there. But this is one where I just like cut things out. So like cut out poetry, I don't even know, but this is what I came up with. And it was from a book on, I think it was an Agatha Christie novel? I don't even remember. She kissed her gently and laughed buoyantly, and then her eyes widened and she grew thoughtful. She was an explorer, a dreamer, and she had a secret. And this page, this is the last one I finished. I kind of had this like thought about, like, have you ever been on vacation and just like hated it? Like, not the vacation itself, but you were just so stressed out over something maybe you left behind at home, or just maybe the vacation isn't going the way you expected it to, or for whatever reason you're just having a really bad time. This is all about that. So like being in this beautiful, amazing, incredible place, like imagine like being in paradise and just like keep thinking about all the stuff that you have to do when you get home, and you're so stressed that you can't even enjoy the vacation that you're on. That's the vibe here. Like I've had one of those before, and I'm still so mad at myself for like having such a horrible vacation ruined by something that was out of my control, unfortunately. But you know, for it to ruin like an entire week of my life that was supposed to be, you know, great, was so infuriating. So that's kind of what that's about. And here's some more of that cutout poetry from my magazine. And that's it. So that is the last one of this series. They come in threes of these guys here. And the next one is going to be a set of national park ones. So these guys here, just really love the covers. And so you can actually see just how skinny these are before I destroy them. That's how they look versus that. So you can tell these are not meant to hold this much stuff. So I'm thinking the next time around, because I do feel slightly limited by what I can create from these, because I can only really paste things in. So I do like the pencil drawings and quotes and stuff like that, but I wish I could do more watercolor because that's my favorite thing to do. And so I'm thinking next time around what I'll do is I'll just take out the paper, the staples on here, and just replace it with my own paper once I'm done filling them in and using them up. So I think that's what I'm going to try to do. I don't think it'll get the same kind of vibe as these guys here, but I want to try it and see how I like it, because I do really love the covers of these, and I do still kind of want to use them up and all that kind of good stuff. So yeah, so that is the last one of these guys here, and let me know in the comments which page was your favorite, and I hope to do another flip through soon, so I'll see you guys shortly.